Hi! So in this video I'm going to share with students two different ways to make optical illusions, and there are many ways to create optical illusions or optical art, but this is two ways and you can decide which way which method I should say you want to use for your final piece. So the first piece I'm going to show you is what I call bars flying through space, and you can decide where you want to put a dot anywhere on your paper. Now at the very end you're going to erase that dot, but so that you can see it, I'm going to do my lines a little bit darker. So as I said, the dot can go anywhere on your paper, but when you create the bars, you need to make sure that your dot lines up on your ruler every time. So you're going to make a line that does not connect to that dot, and you decide how long you want that line to be. So I'm going to say my line is going to be like that, and then I'm going to change the direction of the line, but it's still coming from the dot. So now I have two bars that are, or two lines that are going to create my bar, but the next step is to put the ending lines on this bar. They have to be either vertical with the paper or horizontal with the paper. So I'm going to make them vertical to the paper. So I'm going to line my ruler up parallel to the edge of the paper and make my line, and I'm going to do the same thing at the end. You can see I've got a little overage there, and I'm just going to erase that. Okay. Now when you do yours, you're going to do a whole bunch of these on your paper. Make a lot of them because it can look really cool when you do. But just for practice purposes, I'm going to do 3. And when you make these, you can make them any distance you want from that dot, but you just want to make sure that it lines up, your ruler lines up every time. So this bar, I'm going to draw the end lines parallel with the edges of the top and bottom of my paper and erase any overage. And this one I'm going to have my edges be vertical with the edges of the paper. There we go. All right, so I've got these bars that are flying in towards this point, this vanishing point. Now, to up the ante a little bit, I'm going to show you how you can create one bar overlapping another bar. So I'm actually going to use this one right here. So what I'll do is I'll line my ruler up again, and I'm going to draw a line that overlaps the bar that I've created. And I'm going to wiggle my ruler, and I'm going to do that again. Okay. Now I'm going to connect my lines so that the edges are parallel with the top and the bottom of the paper. And now I've got a bar that's translucent over another bar. But to make it look like it's solid, I'm going to erase this line right here. One of my original lines to the bar. As soon as you take that out, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, okay, I've got one bar that overlaps another bar. Another thing you can do is make it look like there is a split in a bar. So I'm going to do that to this one right here, and you'll notice that I've got my ruler parallel to this edge. So I'm going to draw a stripe in the middle of my bar, and then I'm just going to erase those edges, and now I've got what looks like two bars flying on the same plane headed towards that vanishing point. So if you decide you want to do this piece, you're going to create a whole bunch of these going towards a vanishing point, play with the space breaks, play with the overlapping, and color them in really, really well. You can use markers or colored pencils. It's your choice, but really nicely colored. Then when you're done, you can take a picture and send it to me. The second style of optical illusion I'm going to show you is what I like to call the Bendy Floor. And so you can see this a little bit better. I'm going to use a pen to get it started. So I'm just going to draw a small one, and I'm going to take a line and draw it down my gridded paper here, which is, these are 1-inch squares. So I'm going to draw it down 2 inches, and then I'm going to draw a line that's over 2 inches. Now, if you're familiar with math terms, we sometimes refer to this as the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. And in between, these are all 1/4 of an inch sections, and so you can see it a little bit easier. I'm going to just make these a little bit darker. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. If it helps you on yours, you can certainly put this in with pencil, but I would recommend if you do it lightly and then you can erase it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start at what I call the top of the ladder. And we're going to come all the way down to the first step over. So I'm going to line up my ruler to the first step over and then the top of the ladder, and I'm going to draw a line. Okay. Then I'm going to go over the next step, and I'm going to drop down one step on my ladder, and that line is going to cross. You'll see the cross right there. I'm going to go over to the third step over and drop down one more step on my y-axis. And you'll notice that the lines, as you go, they're going to keep crossing one another. And that's good. That's what you want. So every time you go over one step on your x-axis, you got to drop down one step on your ladder or your y-axis. And you do this all the way to the last step that you made on the x-axis. Okay, so now you have something that looks like this. And the reason I call it the bendy floor is that I tend to go in and I like to checkerboard. Now I'm not going to fill these in completely, but if you were coloring this, that's what you would want to do. Okay, do my next one. And you can see it's starting to look like a tiled floor. Or students call it sometimes a checkered board, which is totally accurate. And you can see how it creates that bend illusion, which is pretty cool. There you go. So if you're going to do this, what I would recommend is making it, you're going to work on bigger paper, you're going to make it bigger, and you can also repeat that idea if you do this side, if you flipped it, and you drew your y and x axis here, you could do another one and create a shape that looks like an eyeball. You can do, I've had students who've done larger ones that look like a cross or a star when they finish, and I've had students do really intricate designs. So there's lots of things that you can do with these optical illusions. So give it a try. Pick one or practice both and decide which one you want to do, and then go ahead and do it. And when it's finished, send it my way because I can't wait to see it. Have any questions, just let me know.